Merry Christmas, folks. Thank you for listening to Pub Talk on this great year. We hope you will keep listening to us. But without further ado, it's time to pop the top off with Pub Talk. As always, we have All-Stars to start the show off. College football playoff is coming up this weekend. We have NFL Week 16. We're going to talk about our previous Christmas experiences and get a little life check with you guys. And then, of course, Hops of the Week to finish us off. But before we begin, Pub Talk is brought to you by Route 11 Chips. It is still football season. Weekends are still about college and NFL football. Just by sitting on the couch or throwing a huge party, you're going to need some chips. And Route 11 has got you covered. Since 1992, Route 11 has been chipping away to give its consumers a great and tasty product. So make sure you check out your local Martin's, Food Lion, and Giant to pick up a bag today. All right, lights, beer, action. Happy Hanukkah, folks. Happy and Merry Christmas. Merry
Chanukah.
Christmas Eve, if you want to call it that.
Chanukah.
What?
I was just popping the top on another beer, buddy.
Okay, never mind. All right, but yeah, Merry Christmas Eve, if you want to call it that. You'll be listening to this tomorrow morning or throughout the week before the holidays are over, before we get into New Year's. Let's start off. Pub Talk All-Stars, as always. I got Oktoberfest Port City here next to me.
Those son of bitches make a good beer, don't they?
How many times do I have to say it? Yeah, it's the holy grail of microbreweries inside of Virginia.
For us.
Then we got Firestone Lager on the other side.
Yep.
Therefore, Coach.
Yep,
24
made by
ounce.
Firestone Walker Brewing Company out in California. I haven't seen it in the 12-ounce, so I had to buck up and I have to drink 24-ounce beer. So I'm a man enough. I can do this. But this is a great beer. I thoroughly enjoy it. I got one left, so I'm going to savor it.
Well,
I'm
I
good.
hope you can, because I'm serious. Those cans are pretty freaking big.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, man. Those things are
Total Wine, baby. Total Wine.
Total Wine.
Uh-huh.
And I swear, if you go buy the beer, it's literally going to hit you like this.
Oh my God.
I hope you can hear that in the background. We're hoping to get some new sound clips in here.
Yeah.
I hope you'll enjoy some Chris Farley talk. But let's go ahead and get into it. The first couple bowl games have come and gone, but this week is coming up. The college football playoff is going to start.
Yep. 28th.
The 28th, which is a Saturday. You have the worst of the two. You have LSU versus Oklahoma. And then you have Clemson versus Ohio State.
I mean, that's the first initial gut is to say that,
okay, well,
it's going to be a blowout.
we're going to talk about that right now. Call me crazy. I'm not joking.
You're crazy.
Like call me crazy. I legit think that Oklahoma has absolutely no shot. Call me crazy, but I legitimately think Oklahoma doesn't have a shot in this game.
Hey, if that's the way they were, they wouldn't play him at all.
But what I'm saying is that Oklahoma, it's about this year, I will say. The fact that they lost to Kansas State, the fact that they got into the college football playoff on circumstances, that they were the last remaining team, because Utah shat the bed, and then Oregon also shat the bed. But it goes even deeper than that for the past times that Oklahoma has been in. They gave up 37 to Clemson the first time they came in. They gave up 43 to Georgia and lost in overtime. You give up 43 points and you lose in overtime. And then you give up 54 to Alabama, okay? And that's a pattern to me. That really is a pattern to me, that if you're telling me that those offenses, which were great with Tua, you also had Deshaun Watson back in the day, and then Jake Fromm in that offense in 2017. Those were great offenses. But this is an even better offense that you're going against. You're going against Joe Burrow, who has a 78% completion percentage. He has thrown almost 50 touchdown passes. You're going against an offense that has shown no weakness here. And when I see that these points that have been scored on Oklahoma and the fact that they are 0-3 in being first rounded in the college football playoff, it still speaks to me. Why do you get put in? I'm serious. Why do they get put in still when I would probably enjoy more of seeing a Georgia versus LSU again? Unfortunately, I would, because Oklahoma, they may make it interesting with their offense, but God, did they get murdered in the end of it?
Yeah,
Call me crazy.
I just don't. They made it in. Whatever the circumstances is, they made it in. And we said this last week. I don't think they have much of a shot. I just don't think they have enough to slow down LSU. And they better have their shit wired tight on offense, because I'll tell you what, LSU can get it done defensively as well. They're tough. It's not going to be a cakewalk. So, I still think you have to play the game. You never know how close it'll be, but regardless of the circumstances, they're the team that's there. So you got to let them play. You got to see how it washes out.
Well, that may be the case, but my final thoughts: does Oklahoma have a chance?
Oh, hell no.
I really don't think that they have a chance. I really don't think. It comes down to Joe Burrow being the Heisman, which we'll talk about that here later, about the Heisman. And then you have Clemson versus Ohio State. I talked about this last week. Ohio State, you need to tell your fans to shut the fuck up. It's getting really annoying hearing about how fans are still talking about how they're not number one and how they feel they should be number one. But guess what Clemson has done? They haven't said anything. They really haven't said anything. Other than Dabo, I will say that Dabo is a bit of a whiny bitch right now about saying like they don't give us respect, in which they don't. I will say that the College Football Committee is not giving them respect because they still are the kings. They still are the undefeated.
They got 6 days to
defending
wait.
national
That's all they got.
championships.
They got 6 days.
But when it comes to Ohio State, oh my God, it's off the charts. It's not. It's just constant whining and crying.
And then what happens afterwards? I don't know what you're gonna say to it if you take it on the chin, because that could very well help. That could very well happen. Now, Ohio State's. Let me preface that. Ohio State's no flash in the pan. They're not the same as Oklahoma. They're just not that same team. They can score points in bunches, and if they come out and they play disciplined football, they're going to give everything Clemson can handle. I still think Clemson is a good football team. They're still a better team.
I think that people just don't know what. Here's another situation for me is that I really think people don't understand what Clemson has because they haven't seen them play in these nationally televised games because they aren't getting the market with the ACC being such a shit show this year.
Yeah.
The only games that are being shown around here are the UVA games and Virginia Tech games, and guess how those went?
Yeah.
Wah, 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 wah. Yeah. Nobody's getting what Clemson is getting, showing, unless you live in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Because you may get some film from Ohio State, but that doesn't mean that they're showing everything. Clemson hasn't had to show everything to these teams because they've been destroying them by 50 points each time. It's just the way it goes, and so I think people were saying, "Well, Clemson, they don't impress me." Well, you haven't seen them.
Yeah,
you haven't seen the best of Clemson. The best of Clemson was last year in the championship when they went over Alabama and rolled over them.
They rolled Tide.
Yes, they did.
Go Tigers! Go Tigers!
And that's another thing.
Clemson Tigers.
I completely forgot. You got two different Tigers. You got a Buckeye. And then you got a fucking Sooner. Boomer Sooner.
Boomer Sooner.
Boomer Sooner could suck my... Yeah, okay. So, I'm picking Clemson, though. I am. I'm picking Clemson.
I would pick Clemson, too. We're gonna piss Clarence off, but this will be after the show anyway.
And he has a right to stay true to his team and stay true to his word.
He is. He's a Buckeye boy.
And I would be too. I wouldn't want to say Clemson's going to roll over us. We don't stand a chance. It's the same thing with Oklahoma. I'm glad that their fans believe that they have a chance in this game.
Yeah.
But once again, Oklahoma.
Oh, hell no.
You don't have a chance. So, but for Clemson, you got. if you beat them, I'm going to say, well, okay, I expected you to beat them because you're the Kings. You're supposed to do
You're
this.
supposed to do that.
Okay, so I'm picking Clemson, though. I am. I think it'll be a good one. I am thinking 38-24. I'm thinking a
Should we write that
two-touchdown
down?
lead. I'm thinking a 2-touchdown win for Clemson, 38-24.
Clemson? Mm-hmm. I don't even know what the line is. I should have checked it.
I got you, but
Clemson,
I am picking
38-24?
Yep, I am picking a
38,
2-touchdown lead
24 over.
and win for
Ohio.
the Clemson Tigers. So it is Clemson minus 2.5. So Clemson is actually
2-point favorite.
minus 2.5 point favorites, and then LSU is minus 13.5.
All right.
So once again, they're
So
not.
what
even
what are you calling that game?
LSU? Honestly, I would say 38-14. You will get the best you can from Oklahoma in the first half. I promise you that. But it'll be over at halftime.
I wrote it down. We'll see.
It'll be over at halftime. So yeah, that's what I got. I do think that Clemson is the better team just because of the way that Ohio State has looked mortal, and I also don't think that Oklahoma has a chance. So yeah, but before those games, we have some bowl games that wrapped up. The old Bad Boy Motors Gasparilla Bowl ended last
Yeah.
night. Oh wait, no, Mad Mowers. Is it Mad Mowers?
Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl was today. That was UCF beating the hell out of Marshall.
And the one that shocked you was FAU going to Pound Town on SMU, who only had a one-loss season.
Yeah.
SMU, which again just goes to show you, unfortunately, the group of five.
That's the Cheribundi Boca Raton Bowl.
Oh my God, what a name! And then another shocker was Boise State.
I wrote that one down. Boise got smoked, man.
Boise
I'm
State
telling
was
you.
ranked 19th. Now that doesn't show anything to me. Lots of teams can get ranked for various reasons, but Washington, they put it to them.
Yeah.
Washington had a very mediocre season. What, 7-5?
Yeah, Boise was like what, 12-1? 12.
Yeah, they were supposed to be. It was between, I think, either them and Memphis to get the Group of Five vote into the New Year's Six.
Yeah,
It was
Washington was freaking 7-5.
I know, but they were also playing better competition. You're playing teams like Utah, Oregon, USC,
Yeah.
Arizona State. Now now the bottom of those two aren't that good, but they're still above teams like the types of teams that Boise State will play, like Fresno State, teams like that in California.
Yeah, it was Chris Peterson's last game there at Washington. He stepped down.
Did he coach though?
Yeah,
are you sure
he
he
did.
coached?
He
Okay,
coached
well
at
then
the
he
game.
did step down.
Yeah,
Then.
he stepped down afterwards. He's going to work in the
I'll never
athletic
forget.
department there at Washington.
Chris Peterson, if this is his last game, I hope it's not. But I'll never
is.
forget the Boise State versus Oklahoma game.
Yeah.
That game was fantastic.
The old
to
Statue
watch.
of Liberty.
Yeah, and the lateral, just the sequence of plays that happened for Boise State to pull off that upset.
Yeah.
Chris Peterson is known for that, and then also turning a program like Boise State in those years from 2006 to 2007 to 2012 into that team that you didn't want to fuck with.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Boise State back in those days with Kellen Moore, that was such a team that you were like, that's the team with the blue field. You don't fuck with that team in Idaho. And that's why I like Chris Peterson, is that he took a program that at its core is very mediocre and turned them into a powerhouse. And they've since kept that type of
Reasonably good,
status,
yeah.
but they haven't been able to, play the types of teams that you would expect. They did beat Florida State this year. That's great.
Who didn't?
Yeah, you're right. They got a new head coach, but
They're
but
playing
still.
in a damn bowl this year. That's how shitty they are. 6-6 playing in a damn bowl. I can't believe that.
So that's one bowl that happened. There's another bowl that happened. Before the college football playoff
Fumble!
begins, you have
Fumble!
oh boy. Wow. Sorry,
Oh.
we're watching the Minnesota Packers
Minnesota
game.
and the Packers and the
I'm
Packers
picking
just
Minnesota
fumbled.
to win. I think Minnesota is a good team. I don't think Green Bay is all that hyped up. But a bowl that's happening before that is Memphis versus Penn State.
Oh, he just stripped it right out of there.
Memphis versus Penn State is a game that it's like last year, the past 2
That's on the
years.
same day as the first round.
Yeah, exactly.
Semifinal games.
It's the group of five team that got into the New Year's Six Bowl.
Right.
Last 2 years it's been UCF who declare themselves the national champions. here's the thing I'll say about this. I hope Penn State beats the fuck out of you guys. It's not for like, oh, you guys are losing your head coach and everything, but it's for the fact that everyone's still I want to be vocal about teams getting into the playoff, but the group of 5, every time you open your mouth, you go and do what UCF does and declare yourself national champions.
Yeah. Well, Memphis isn't doing that.
Memphis isn't doing that, and praise to you. Thank you for not doing that. But Penn State is going to knock the fuck out of you.
You think so?
I really do think Penn State is a better all-around football team than Memphis.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But at the same time, you walk out there thinking your shit don't stink, and the next thing you know, a team like Memphis, Memphis is 12-1.
But here's
They're
the
no
thing about
slouch.
James Franklin. In his time at Penn State, and the past 3 years, he's 1-2 in bowl games. The one he won was against Washington in the PlayStation Bowl. And then last year, he lost to Benny Snell in the Kentucky Wildcats.
Yeah, I remember
And then the
that.
previous year before they won the PlayStation Vita Bowl was the loss to USC in that amazing offensive showing that we saw. But other than that, Penn State has been... They haven't won a bowl game other than that PlayStation Vita Bowl. So this game is like James Franklin's fuck you tour to say, we are still the real deal and just wait till next year. Because they're getting lots of players back next year. They're not done. They're getting lots of players back next year. So there's one right there. What?
Nothing. I you know me and Penn State. We're not a...
I'm not too high on them. I'm really not. I've never been high on them
Yeah.
but now their offensive coordinator is gone.
What?
Their offensive coordinator is at Old Dominion. He got the head coaching job at Old Dominion. It's about fucking time for them. So there's that one. The game also before LSU and Oklahoma.
Somebody hired that guy?
Yeah, I'm not joking.
Oh
They
my
literally
God.
saw probably the Michigan game or the Maryland game, and that was it. And they were like, okay, we don't need to see anymore. I think we figured out our head coach. Notre Dame versus Iowa State.
Yeah, I saw that. I put that on my list too. I think that's another good matchup. I think that's a situation where Iowa State takes touchdown Jesus to the woodshed. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if Iowa State upset Notre Dame.
If Iowa State beats Notre Dame, Brian Kelly needs to be fired.
Yeah.
I really do think that needs to happen because you had a season where you've lost to 2 top powerhouse teams, and then you go into a bowl game and you lose to Iowa State, who's had a mediocre season in the Big 12, and then they go into this bowl game and they give you everything you got, and you see that you can't even beat a mediocre team in a bowl game.
Right.
That gets my fire right there.
Sure.
It really does.
That was where I was hoping freaking what's his name from Ohio State?
Urban Meyer.
Urban Meyer. I thought he'd go home to Notre Dame. He was special teams coach there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we talked about this before.
Yeah. I thought for sure he might want to go home, but I wouldn't be surprised. I think Iowa State's a great football team, even though they're only 7-5. I still think, hey, 7-5 versus 10-2. It should be, Notre Dame should convincingly win this game, but you never know what'll happen.
Yep.
Never know.
All right.
I only had one. Well, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You might have it. You might have it. Go ahead.
Well,
and hit
the
it
next one I wanted to talk about is Minnesota versus Auburn. That'll come up on New Year's Day. This is a great game for me to show that Auburn was overrated, but also that Minnesota can absolutely punish people next year. If they come out and do strong against Auburn, I think you need to look at Minnesota as a top 10 team coming in next year.
Interesting.
Because if they can handle Bo Nix and Bo Nix can't do anything again, I think Gus Malzahn is going to have to say, dude, if you can't even beat Minnesota.
Yeah, Bo Nix is just a freshman. No, he's.
I know.
I'm telling you, he's going to be good.
But so was
good
Trevor
quarterback.
Lawrence. So was Trevor Lawrence last year, and he won 15-0.
No, it's not the same. He walked in with. Are you telling me Auburn's defense is the same as Clemson's? Are you telling
Well,
me
they're
that his
graduating a lot
offensive-
of people from Auburn's defense this year.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that the same situation. It's not the same situations. They're not apples to apples.
Okay,
Why'd
that's
our
fine.
screen go off?
No, it's just because it falls asleep if I
Oh.
don't move the mouse every time.
I got
Chill
in a
out.
I got in a panic there.
Chill out. It's not going anywhere.
Oh
And then the last one
my
is Oregon
God.
is Oregon versus Wisconsin. For
Interesting.
the Rose
High
Bowl.
flying versus ground and pound.
I think still that Wisconsin will win.
Just because of the big dogs up front.
Well, Oregon has a great offensive line too, but Wisconsin, to me, high flying. That Wisconsin defense is pretty good. That Wisconsin defense is pretty damn good, because if they can handle the immortal offense of Ohio State, I'm pretty sure that they can
For a
handle
half,
Oregon.
anyway.
Yeah, for a half, because that's as much as they could give them. For a half, I think that they could easily take Oregon. I really do.
Yeah. I don't disagree.
Because also Oregon, the way that they lost to Arizona State, I go, really? It's Arizona State. They don't have a good offense, and you couldn't put points up on the board once you got the ball back. Your defense kept giving you the ball back, and you couldn't put points on the board to win it.
Yeah.
So I see Wisconsin in that game.
Yeah.
Those are the only two that I have, though.
Oh, I only had two others. Mine was USC Iowa. Those teams are very similar in the way they play. It just seems kind of odd, USC versus Iowa. But that's the day before the semifinal championship game, or the semifinal games for the college football championship. And it just kind of struck me as just so far-fetched that Iowa would play against USC. Now you got a 16th ranked team in Iowa.
I mean, it's like a Rose
versus
Bowl.
20. Yeah, I guess that's what it looks like. That's the San
Heck.
Diego County Credit Union Holiday Bowl. I was out of breath saying all those words. But yeah, that's a night game on the 27th. And then my other one is the two games after on the 30th. There's Florida versus UVA. I'm thinking Florida takes UVA to the woodshed.
I'm thinking Florida absolutely destroys UVA.
Yeah.
Because Florida is not a bad team.
No.
They just
No.
suffered injuries at the quarterback position this year.
Critical injuries.
That were very critical.
Yeah.
And the fact that
Florida's 10-2.
yeah, but the two losses that they had were to LSU and Georgia.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
Other than that, they've looked dominant.
Yeah.
Especially against teams like Auburn. Okay, so I clearly think that they have what it takes to even take a step forward next year if they find a good quarterback to take care of their offense.
Yeah.
Because if that defense returns, my God, they made Bo Nix's day like hell that time that they played back in September. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
what was the other one you had, though?
Oh, Utah, Texas.
Oh, boy.
Utah's got a shot at redemption. That's also being played on the 30th. Or no, is that the
Is
31st?
Sam Ellinger going to say they're back if they beat
It's on New Year's Eve. It's a New Year's Eve bowl game.
Is Sam Ellinger going to say they're back if they beat Utah again this year like they beat Georgia
but
last year?
If Texas loses, they'll finish their season. They will have played 13 games, and they'll be just one game over 500.
Yep.
They will finish 7-6.
And it's not Tom Herman's fault, apparently.
It's just
Have you read those articles about Tom Herman? About how he's clearing house and he basically is blaming his players for losing?
well, they're the ones who play the game.
Well, as a coach. I'm just saying, as a coach. As a coach that you never blame the players.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You take
yeah.
full responsibility as a coach.
Unless
as a
they're really
professional.
shitty, and then you blame
Unless
the
they
kid
play
for
for
just
South.
being
I don't know. I don't know of a shitty team. So, but yeah, you as a coach. So yeah, that's it for FBS. FCS. The FCS National Championship,
Yep.
the true national championship of college football.
That's like February 14th or
no,
something
it's
like
January 11th. It's 2 days before the college football playoff national championship.
that. Just teasing.
Wait,
Just teasing.
It
They
is
take
a-
a month off and then play a game.
I mean, it's the same thing for bowl games, really. It's the same game. It's the same damn thing. But it's a
I know.
rematch
I know.
of 2 years ago.
Yep.
North Dakota State Bison again. They are
Yep.
heading back again for their 8th time in the past 9 years. They are heading back to the national championship, and they will be playing the James Madison Dukes of Harrisonburg, Virginia, a second time now in the national championship, where back in 2017 when I was a part of the team, North Dakota State won 17-13. It was one of the best games I think you'll ever see. It was just a bloodbath. Defenses going at it, but unfortunately our offense, I knew it going into the playoffs that it was a very big snooze fest. I'm going to say it straight up. I was not too fond of our offense.
Holy shit, that offense put me to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. And when we went up against teams who can't handle a snooze fest offense, yeah, we look good, and our fans are like, we're taking this all the way. The Bison are a different animal. They're not. They're Alabama.
Yeah,
they are. They are the Alabama of the FCS.
North.
Exactly. They have full beards and beer bellies up there, and they fuck you up. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what we did against North Dakota State.
North Dakota, how'd you like to be there in the fucking winter?
Oh, well,
walking across campus.
Well, 3 years ago,
in
when we had
January.
to beat the Bison to go to the national championship and win it, it was, I think it said -8 degrees up there, and it was a full snowstorm outside the arena.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just awful.
Nice.
And they have it's called the Fargo Dome up
Yeah.
there because it's in Fargo,
Oh,
North
yeah?
Dakota.
Oh, yeah?
But the Dukes are going back to the national championship for the third time in
Good luck
fourth
to
years.
JMU.
It's the same thing like North Dakota State.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
there was a comment made, because we watched the game. There was a comment made by one of the commentators. And he basically said that JMU, it will be a long time before JMU sees a decline in how well they play because of what has taken place over the last 4 to 5 years and their growth. The number of players that have come from other states and out of state just to come to JMU.
all up and down the East Coast.
Yeah, from everywhere.
Ranging, yeah.
And
exactly.
so, when you get that kind of talent from Division I teams from FBS
to come
schools,
to little old Harrisonburg, Virginia,
yeah, little Podunk, Harrisonburg.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, but that's where Brothers or Elementary Brewing is from,
So
and they make a hell of a good beer.
I'm proud. I wish I could go to Texas, but unfortunately, that shit's expensive. And I've already been there once. I don't want to see heartbreak again. I've already seen it from the sidelines. I've already seen the hell it is getting out of that stadium afterwards. Because after a game, everyone goes home during the regular season. But after the national championship, everyone rushes the field. And it's hard to get out of there.
Yeah.
So that's it for college football, though. Let's go ahead and get into NFL here. Week 16. There's only one more.
Yeah.
There's only one more week of regular season action.
Yeah, week 17, man.
It's a sad. It's fucking stupid. Why can't it be year round? Honestly, it's so stupid.
Because there would be nobody around to play.
I guess so, man. But fuck them. I want football. So, week 16 of the regular season. Most of the playoffs are wrapped up, except for a couple of
Playoffs?
wild card spots, and I think one division in the NFC still needs one team. So we'll start with Saturday football. Saturday actually
Yeah.
had some football games.
There's some good games on Saturday.
And the Texans did clinch. They did beat the Buccaneers, but we won't talk about that much because Jameis Winston still his – oh, my God, Jameis Winston. But the Bills and Patriots.
He threw 4 picks in that fucking game.
Yeah, Jameis Winston did.
He's thrown 24 fucking interceptions this year. 24.
I think the record is 26. So if
Really?
he throws 2 more.
Well, he automatically gets one thrown on his stat sheet just for showing up because he will throw at least
Yes, he will.
one.
He will.
He will
So,
throw at least one.
The Bills and Patriots, though. I'm sure that there were a lot of people out there who thought the Bills could beat the Patriots.
I did. I thought that the Bills, coming off their win the week before, had what it took to beat a questionable Patriots team. But I'll tell you what, this is the best the Patriots have looked probably
The
in
perseverance, man.
the last 6 or 8 weeks. Are you kidding me? This is as good as they've looked.
I know. Even like the Cincinnati game started off rough. This one was better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
N'Keal Harry, what the hell? What the hell? He had a good game, and then of course you depend a lot on Edelman. It takes a lot. That dude's banged up too.
But once he comes alive in the playoffs,
they
he's
better
a
get
different animal.
They better get a first round bye and let those bodies heal. Or
I guess so.
They
yeah.
could end up in a one and done, man.
Well, here's the way that it's got to go. I think they clinched the number 2 seed now that Baltimore has won because they get the number 1 seed.
Right, they'll get
Baltimore
one.
gets the number 1. So at least
Right.
New England will get the 2nd seed because Kansas City has one less win. So yeah, and one more loss. So yeah. New England is the number 2 seed. Kansas City is the number 3. Houston is the number 4. So there's that.
All dangerous son of bitches. Guarantee all those teams are good.
Yeah, it's because the 3 teams that are on that list as the seeded teams are the ones that beat the Patriots, Coach.
Yeah.
The Chiefs, the Texans, and the Ravens.
But it goes back to what I've told you a million times. You know how hard it is to play a team twice in one season and beat them both times?
Oh, it's easy. Ask Pittsburgh versus Cleveland. It happens all the fucking time. Yeah, ask about them.
Okay.
Sorry.
Fuck you.
Oh, yeah, we'll get into that. That was perfect. That was like a Christmas. That was like a Christmas present seeing that.
That was
man.
on Twitter. That was all the rage
Yeah.
on Twitter. I loved it.
The Rams versus the 49ers. The Rams are officially eliminated for playoff contention. They lost to the 49ers, and the 49ers have clinched a playoff spot
49ers,
as well.
damn good football team, man. They're going to surprise the freaking NFC.
The Saints still have a chance, though, to get the number 1 seed.
I
They
think
do.
You know how I feel about Drew Brees.
If the
So-
49ers lose next week and New Orleans wins, New Orleans gets the number 1 seed. So they would have to go back into the dome again and try that again and try that shit again.
Yeah,
and
well,
it's
you gotta
hard to
pick
do
one
that.
of these two jokers too to play.
I know Minnesota and Green Bay. This is going to be tough.
Yeah, it's a tough route.
Because this is also for seeding as well.
Yeah,
If Minnesota wins here, they'll be the 3rd seed.
they got it. They're tied, but head to head,
They'll be 1-1.
1-1 each. So I wonder how that works out then afterwards. Is it like a common opponent or what?
I really couldn't tell you. Maybe.
How do you like that? Freaking Kirk Cousins shit. I'm not a big fan of Kirk Cousins. I'm just not.
I'm sure.
I watched this shit in Washington.
This was a sad game though for the 49ers. CJ Beathard, who was the backup quarterback, his brother was killed in a fatal stabbing.
Yeah, I read about that. That's crazy
and
shit.
I think that the 49ers played with some passion that night, and George Kittle, who knew CJ Beathard and his little brother, he knew of them. He played lights out. Can you smell what the Niners are cooking? Like that's the type of energy that they're feeding off of right now.
La, 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 la.
And The Rock is saying you're America's tight end right now. Like he's
And that dude is a good football player, man.
he's an Iowa tight end. They are good. They are
and
good.
They
tight
had
ends
talked
there.
about we go all the way back to when we talked about him in the draft and stuff like that. He's a diamond in the rough, and his career's just getting
And he
started.
talked about that in an interview, saying, "I was actually a very soft tight end when I came into Iowa. I really was." He said, "I was a soft tight end, and then during my 2nd and 3rd year, I basically got under the impression that they're more scared of you if you run at them than you are of them." And he said that just got my confidence right up, and I basically became a dominant tight end then.
Yeah.
So the 49ers, it's good to see them back in business.
Yep.
They're not like the 49ers under Jim Harbaugh where it was the villains. You know, they were the villain team with guys like Patrick Willis, Deshaun Goldson, Dante Whitner, Colin Kaepernick, Michael Crabtree. You know, they were like the villains, the guys that you were like, yeah, Ahmad Brooks and a guy from Virginia, like they were the villains under Jim Harbaugh, and everyone was like, fuck these guys. But Frank Gore, I love Frank Gore, no hating on him. But they were the guys that you were like, I don't like these guys. These 49ers are different, though. I like these 49ers. They're playing with passion, and they're a damn good football team. And I am a huge fan of John Lynch, Hall of Famer and also Super Bowl champion with the Buccaneers. So, yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
We'll get into the Christmas present. The Ravens played the Browns. The Ravens clinched the number 1 seed over the Browns. And the Browns, this happened last week. they will finish the entire decade with a losing record. Not once have they finished a season with a winning record.
Wow.
And I'm going to go Freddie Kitchens.
It's the first time in 10 years that the Bills have had a 10-win season. I remember seeing that stat the other day when the Patriots and the Bills played.
Really?
First time in 10 years that they've had a...
It's a Christmas miracle. But the Browns, Freddie Kitchens, the call, oh my God. The call after you scored a touchdown to get 15 points. You're down 24-15. Okay, you're down 24-15 here. You know that you need what do you do, Coach? What would you do in that situation?
When is it? Where are we at on
No,
the
you
clock?
just scored a touchdown.
Where are we at in the clock?
You have about 10 minutes left.
In the game?
Yes. What do you do? Kick the extra point or go for 2?
Well, you said 24 what?
15 after you score the touchdown.
Well, yeah, it's 10 minutes. I'm probably not going to chase points right away. I'll probably kick the PAT, and hopefully I'll get the ball back. And
What does Freddie Kitchens do? He's just like, fuck that, we're going for 2.
Yeah.
And what do? They don't get it.
Yeah, there's two schools of thought there. There's guys that like to chase
But
points
you're
early.
guaranteed, at least you're more guaranteed if you kick an extra point and you're only still down by 1 score. Instead of not getting the 2 point and being down by 2 scores again. You're
Right.
still down by it again.
There are a lot of schools of thought for chasing points, and I'm not a point chaser. So, and when I look at things like that, if I was under probably, if I had 5 minutes left, 4 minutes left, 5, I'm going for 2 because I got to chase points now. I'm going to run out of time.
But there wasn't 5 minutes left.
Right. I'm just saying.
You had
it
basically an
depends.
entire quarter of football left.
I stopped watching that game. I just, when I saw Baker Mayfield being booed by his fans and he comes off the field and he's laughing and he's raising his hands up in the air like, you don't faze me, you don't faze me. And then I saw that dude flip him off and go, fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. You haven't done for it. You know? What have you done for me lately? What have you done for me lately?
Well, Baker, once again, he's that guy that walks around like his shit don't stink.
Yeah.
I'm a Heisman winner. I don't have to prove anything to you people.
And you have to be that way to play quarterback in the NFL. You have to have that level of confidence. You don't have to you don't have to actually.
Fine, then you'll be
say
hated
it.
by everyone in the NFL.
Yeah, you could very well be
you will
disliked
never
by a
be
lot
liked
of
by
guys.
anyone.
You could probably be disliked by a lot of guys. But after that game, Odell Beckham is talking with Lamar Jackson, and
Come get me.
Yeah, come
Please help.
Please save me.
I will make
Talk
you-
to your GM. Try and find somebody. Get me out of here because this is a dumpster fire. How could you not know that was going to happen? How could you not? And for all those jackasses that anointed them and gave them so much extra without ever. And I think you and I even mentioned it on the show way back when this was all being thrown together, that it could go one of two ways. One, it could be everything that they talked about, or it could be a complete shit show. And for all intents and purposes, it has become a shit show. And it starts at the top.
Because the Browns are shit.
It starts at the top, though. It starts at the top. And I won't blame. I don't want to blame Freddie Kitchens. I don't want to blame him. He has some blame in this, but I'm not going to lay it all on him. At some point, your players, all of them, all of those freaking all pros, Jarvis Landry, freaking Odell Beckham, Baker Mayfield. You've got Nick Chubb. You've got freaking. This guy from Kansas City, Kareem Hunt. You've got all of these players. You've got good defensive players, and you play like shit. You play like complete scrubs. Like you've forgotten how to win in the NFL.
Because he's more concerned about wearing a Pittsburgh Started shirt than fucking actually keeping his mouth shut.
It's. I wanted them to be good. I wanted to watch the Browns. I wanted the Browns
to fail
be good
because I wanted people to realize they're the Cleveland Browns, and they have been the epitome, the epitome of a bottom barrel team for the past, clearly for the past 10 years.
Do we need a siren here?
They're one of 3 teams in NFL history for being an 0-16 team. That's right. One of 3.
Oh my God.
You're goddamn right. This is what the Browns are. That's what they are. That's what they always have. I'll say it again. That's what they are. You know what Brown comes from? My ass. That's what the Browns are. So stop it with this. And whoever got the Super Bowl tattoo on your stomach, that's permanent, buddy. That's permanent. And that's staying with you forever. And I hope that you realize how dumb you are.
Yeah.
All right. Next one, Saints versus Titans. The Steelers got bailed out. The Steelers lost to the Jets. It was a boring game.
Yeah.
Mason Rudolph comes in, goes out because he gets injured. Duck Hodges comes back in after throwing 2 interceptions. So it was just a clusterfuck. It really was.
Yeah.
So that game was really boring, though. It was 16-10. It really wasn't. The Steelers, even if they make the playoffs, good for them, but they're not going to make it past the wild card. They just aren't. And that's fine with me.
Did you feel just a little bit of smile, a little bit of good for him?
Who?
For, receivers coach for the Jets.
Oh, Hines Ward, absolutely.
Did you see
He's a Super Bowl
Did you
MVP
see the
for the
players?
Steelers.
Did you see the players dump the jug
Yeah,
on him?
absolutely.
They dumped not Adam Gates. They dumped him on freaking Hines Ward.
absolutely. I'm happy for him because Hines Ward was one of those receivers. We talk about Jerry Rice and we talk about Larry.
He said that would be the only day he cheered against the Steelers ever.
Yeah, and he's a coach, and as he should. But Hines Ward, he was a guy that everyone loved because he's a smiling guy. He's a nice guy. But on the field, the dude was fearless. The dude didn't give a fuck who you were. And Ed Reed will say that too. Like, they went at it.
Yeah.
Back in the years, Hines Ward to me was up there with John Stallworth. He's up there with Lynn Swann, okay? He's better than fucking Antonio Brown, especially with his attitude. And when I say
Antonio Brown makes a good video though, doesn't he?
oh my God, what
Have
even
you seen
was
those?
that?
I know.
What was that? Is he making a porno? Like, what is he trying to start?
I don't know.
Man's got kids. But Hines Ward, in my mind, is the best Steelers wide receiver ever, because for 10 years, he got over 1,000 receptions and over 10,000 receiving yards. He's a legend, and I hope that he's I hope he's happy.
I think the Steelers faithful would never boo him or look down on
I
him,
will
regardless
never
of
do
where
it
he was in his
because
coaching career.
He won us a Super Bowl. He's a Super Bowl MVP, and he won us another Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And so I will never be upset. But back to the games. The Saints versus Titans. The Titans, I think that if they do get into the playoffs, they have a chance to make a run because they're a dangerous team. They are. They're a very dangerous team.
Not without Derrick Henry.
I understand the call, though, on him is that you still have a chance to make it next week, and you want to play against Houston. And if you do it against Houston, you're beating your division rival.
Yeah.
But history was made. Michael Thomas, he breaks Marvin Harrison's single-season reception record. Breaks 143 receptions. That's fantastic.
It's crazy.
The Saints put it on the Titans, though. And it
I
shows
remember when 100 receptions was freaking in a season.
Unreal, yeah.
Yeah, 100. Who's gonna get 125?
the Saints are breaking records left and right with these guys.
Yeah.
So the Saints, but it does show the weakness of the Titans' defense, unfortunately. You go up against a good offense like the Saints, you might get
They
burned.
shut them down early, though.
Doesn't matter how you
didn't
shut them
hold
down
them in
early.
check. It didn't hold them in check. You're
Exactly.
right. You're right. It
So-
doesn't matter how you start. It always matters how you finish.
You had 2 great offensive scoring teams going against each other.
Speaking of 2 offensive scoring teams, Dolphins and Bungles.
Hey, this is the red zone game that you just could not turn off because it looked like it was over at halftime, and then it wasn't. And then it looked like it was over at the end of the game, and then it wasn't.
Then it wasn't.
And then it took it all the way to the end of overtime, legitimately to the end. 3 minutes left of overtime. the Bengals literally had to do the impossible. They had to check mark everything on the list. The special teams coach, Zach Taylor, and the holy fuckery had to be checked off because they're down by 8. They get the touchdown to be down by 8. They have to get the onside kick. Check. They get it. They can't go down the field, so they have to get the Hail Mary. Check. They get it. They have to get the 2-point conversion to tie it. Check. They go to overtime. And this was for the Tank Bowl.
And then hit the turd.
This is for the damn Tank Bowl. This is between the number 1 pick. Because Joe Burrow, guess who you're going to? You're going to the worst team in the NFL, ladies and gentlemen. Because Andy Dalton might get the stick. Hey, in your conference, whenever you meet with Andy Dalton, he'll say, this is what the Bengals are. And that's what the Bengals are.
You know what, though? Correct me if I'm wrong. If Andy Dalton goes to another team and they ditch him to get Joe Burrow and make a few other changes here and there, does Andy Dalton's career go on an upswing?
Oh, hell no.
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 No, I don't think so.
I've created a monster.
That sound bit might have been a little too much, but it's okay. No, I don't think so. Andy Dalton, what he had in Cincinnati was he had AJ Green. He's a dimensional player for that offense, but he's been injured ever since. And what has Andy Dalton had after that? He has had Tyler Eifert, who also gets injured a lot. So he has players, but they keep getting fucking injured. The only guy
That's what I'm saying. If he goes somewhere else and he gets with a healthy team and he's healthy.
But what if they don't have those players like AJ Green and Tyler Eifert?
Anybody comparable that stays on the field.
Oh, hell no.
Shut it. No.
Okay, I'm just asking a question. I'm just asking. I'd like I like Andy Dalton.
You're asking a question?
Oh, Lordy frickin' God.
I could see that.
All right, monster.
Okay, I'm sorry. Who do we have now? Oh, the Cowboys versus Eagles. Yeah, it was a snooze fest for most. Wake up, coach. Wake up. It was a snooze fest. It really was.
The Bears.
But the Cowboys, really fucking suck. I hope that Cowboys. I'm sure that Cowboys fans hate Jason Garrett, but this was the last straw. You had every opportunity
You think?
this season. You had every
He'll be fired at the end of the year.
opportunity to finish this season out.
Who do they got next week?
They got Washington.
Washington.
But the fate of the NFC East is in Philly's hands. Because if Philly beats New York, that's it. Philly's in. It's done. They can't go to the play. There's no wild card spot available. It's only a division spot.
If Philly gets one more injury, they're going to cancel their season. They
Well,
don't got enough
apparently, there was an article that came out that Deshaun Jackson will be available to return if the Eagles make it to the divisional round, which means they would have to win against whoever they get in the wild card round. So there's that. So you might get a receiver back.
What's wrong with him anyway?
He's got a tummy ache. I don't know. It's a fucking muscle core injury. Apparently.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
he's got a tummy ache.
Yeah.
But the Eagles, they played a good game, but
He's a hell of an athlete, though.
the Cowboys, they couldn't even get a touchdown. You're not going to win a game if you can't get a touchdown against in the NFL.
I do not understand when you have an offensive line like they do and a premier running back in Ezekiel Elliott, how they don't score points on a regular basis. When they started out on Thanksgiving against the Bears, I was like, holy shit, this is going to get ugly. They're going to roach the Bears just like the freaking Chiefs did last night.
And then what happened? Sorry. No, that was my bad.
What?
And then what happened?
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
You're damn right.
It just came to an end.
Sorry about that.
No, it just came to an end. I shake my head. It's not Kellen Moore. It's not Jason Garrett at that point. You call the play, and they can't run the football anymore. You call a play, and they can't throw it. They can't get open. How on earth are you playing against the Eagles? You got, what is it? Their last play was 4th and 7. Amari Cooper standing on the sideline. It's like, what are you thinking? Well,
You don't want your best players out there?
I shake my head that you have the best receiver on your entire team standing on the sideline looking bewildered as to why he's not on the field. But, I don't coach in the NFL. Thank God. Because that makes no sense to me. None whatsoever. But, hey, Kellen Moore's going to lose his job. Jason Campbell's going to lose his job. They're all going to lose their job. They're all going to lose their job.
I hope so. Real quick, Seahawks versus Cardinals. The Seahawks have lost all of their running backs now. This is a team that's going to go into the playoffs.
Marshawn.
They lose to the Cardinals. And guess who the Seahawks are calling now? They're calling old beast mode. They're trying to get him out there, see if he can get a workout in, and they might actually have 24 in the backfield again for the playoffs because they're out of options.
He was supposed to undergo a physical today.
Yeah, apparently, and we'll see what happens.
Somebody said I think Pete Carroll.
We about to see Beast Quake again in the freaking playoffs?
They were talking about him maybe having a few games left in the tank.
Of course he does.
They said he's been working out and
I'm
training
sure those
hard.
guys still stay in fit,
Yeah.
complete shape. No question. So that was a quick tidbit.
Yeah.
Last game. Your Bears, I spoke very highly of them. I really did.
Please,
I really spoke very highly of them.
We need a
I thought the Bears could win this one, and they didn't. They didn't just. They
didn't even
lost
show
bad.
up.
Yeah, no offense whatsoever. Your defense was on the field constantly,
all the time.
all night long. Your defense
Yep.
was on the field,
Yep,
and I
yep.
look at that and I just go, "That's embarrassing."
Yep.
It's like the Packers game week 1. That's how your season. You're gonna have one more game, but that's how your season ends. Seriously. In Soldier Field, do you guys play at home or away?
I was going to look that up and I didn't.
But you
do it
start your
ahead of
season
time.
off and you lose 10-3, and you start the season off scoring 3 points in your home stadium. And no, you're away in Minnesota.
Oh,
you're
joys.
away. So you start your season off scoring 3 points in your home stadium. You lose. And then you end your season in your home stadium scoring 3 points, and you lose. And you're telling me that Matt Nagy sees this as a win-win situation. You're telling me that he just doesn't see anything wrong with the picture. 3 points on the board in 2 games to start and to end your season at home in an environment that is supposed to be second to none. As a home team, you are supposed to be second to none. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, of course. It's smart that the Ravens would sit their players. It's smart. They have the number 1 seed locked and loaded. They don't need to waste any
Put
more
McSorley in.
God, I hope that would happen. But, yeah.
Think RG3 plays?
Yeah, he's absolutely going to play. No question.
RG3 is going to get hurt in the first quarter, and Frick McSorley's going to light that shit
Hey,
up.
I'll be there at that game on the sideline.
McSorley's going to light that shit up because I don't think I love RG3. Don't get me wrong. I love that guy. He was a hell of a football player, and his time has come and gone, and he's going to get hurt on Saturday or on Sunday, and Trace McSorley's going to come out there and light that shit up. That's just how I feel about him. But going back to the Bears, the thing that I remember about the game, and I've seen the Twitter and I've seen the freaking YouTube and I've seen all this shit, but my Mahomie coming off the field, counting to 10 because that's the number of places you skipped him. You had he could have played for the Bears, and you pissed it away for a guy who had 1 season at North Carolina. And I was I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. There are times when he flashes and he looks very good, and there are times when he does things and you're just like, wow, that's what we need him to do on a regular basis. It just never gets followed up. And yet you watch a guy like Patrick Mahomes, and it's one play after another. You can't stop him. You just try to contain him. And even that doesn't work all the time. The Bears have got to be Virginia McCaskey. If you're listening to our show, Virginia McCaskey, that shit's got to be you have to stand up and make a decision. You're Mama Bear. You got to freaking make a decision. Bring Cam Newton to the Bears, please. Bring Cam Newton to the Bears. I just think that after 2 seasons, it's the same shit. All right. I'm done. I'm done counting to 10.
Yeah. Maybe something will happen next year, but we'll talk about that in the off season a little bit.
Yeah.
About what can we expect. So that's week 16. Only one more week of regular season, and then it's on to the playoffs. Then, so it's Christmas time. So we have a little segment. We're going to talk about Christmas.
Christmas.
We're going to talk about our, I want to say our most fond memories, and you're a lot older than me, so go ahead.
I
Start
am?
off with what you've had. What's your most fond Christmas memory
Well, I'll tell you, CJ.
or memories?
I have memories of Christmas, and none of them stand out like they were exceptionally. When you and Patrick were young boys and stuff like that, it was a lot of fun. But when I was a kid, and I'm not talking bad about your grandfather and your grandmother. I love my parents to death, but I was just. I was the only thing I can think of was the one year that I got up before everybody else had opened up all my gifts, before everybody else got up, because I couldn't contain myself. I remember when getting my first bike. I remember getting bicycles at Christmas time, and each year I got a bicycle. They got so much better every time, and over the years. Christmas has become one of those times where it's just downtime. It's not that I don't have the holiday season. I love all the movies. I love all the holiday cheer. I love my friends. I love your mother and all the things that go on. But I think about the money that's spent. I think about all of the things that you do. And it just fucking makes me ill to think that I'm going to spend how many hundreds of dollars doing things. When this year, 2 years ago, we started a family tradition where we were going to go away for a football game. And this year, because of time and circumstances, we couldn't make that happen. Yeah, our football season, we couldn't make that happen. But that's something that I really enjoy. Those are the things that I like. Our times when we get together and we're staying together as a family. We're a pretty tight family. Those are the things that I like the best. But to think that it's not like I didn't have a nice childhood, I didn't get nice gifts and things like that.
I picked him off.
But I'm not a gift and spending kind of guy. I've just never been that way. Sorry. How many gifts have you gotten me?
Oh my God.
That's what I'm thinking, right? So, but. It's never been about that. I've never gotten a lot. I've never expected a lot, and quite frankly, I don't care. I enjoy all the downtime. I love the movies. I love Die Hard. You can't have Christmas without watching freaking Die Hard.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker!
Yeah, I'm gonna get the box set out. One of the things I was going to talk about with my hops of the week.
Well, don't spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil it. I'm going to spoil it just a little bit, but I'm not talking about that. I have two other things I was going to talk about. Is the alternate endings to the movies, and I'm going to go back and watch the alternate endings to some of them because they were actually pretty good. But yeah, those are my holiday memories. I just enjoy the downtime, and it doesn't matter when I say holiday. I'm thinking Thanksgiving and Christmas. Those are the best times for me, anyway, because you just don't have to think about anything. You can just be together and hang out and do whatever, and do what we do most in this family, and that's eat.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say this. My most fond memory has to be back in 2000, Christmas of 2009.
2009.
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah. I've had a lot of good Christmas.
You didn't get a
memories, but,
bicycle, that's for
no, I did not. My fat ass ain't fitting on that. I'm telling you. This was back when we were at our old house, and I remember we had a snowstorm come in. It was awful. We had a snowstorm come in, and this was a month before Modern Warfare 2 came out. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And Modern Warfare 2, in my mind, is the best Call of Duty I've ever played. Call of Duty.
Except for One Man Army.
Yeah, it's the most fun game from the Call of Duties that I've ever played. And I remember that was also when Assassin's Creed 2 came out and Left 4 Dead 2 came out. And we had a snowstorm. And usually on Christmas, we will go up and visit family, and we will go visit up in Pennsylvania. So it's like an hour from here. But because we had an awful snowstorm, we didn't leave the fucking house. And I literally sat there in my chair, and I played Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed and Left 4 Dead all day long. And that's the type, as Coach said, it's the downtime that you can get. And you see what you get. And like I said, I didn't ask for much at all when I was younger.
No, you guys never asked.
I
for a
really
lot.
just wanted money, honestly. That's all I wanted.
Still want that.
Yeah, who doesn't? But that was about it. Just staying inside when it's freezing cold outside and it's snowing like hell, and playing video games.
Yeah.
May sound like a bit of a nerd, but I don't really fucking care. I have the microphone right here. That's all. That's my favorite memory is because those games back then were fun. Those games back then.
They didn't have those games when I was a kid.
Yeah, you're right. But I'll still remember the first game what got me into games was seeing you play Resident Evil 2 back on the old PlayStation 1.
I played that on PlayStation 1 and then Resident Evil 2. I got on the computer.
Yeah, and
your mother, I remember one year I was playing that. Well, I remember when I was playing a game. I don't know what caused me to get up in the middle of the night, but I freaking had this idea, and I went downstairs, and it was like 3 a.m. in the morning, and I was playing Resident Evil 2, and your mother came downstairs and was like, "What in the hell are you doing?" I was like, "I had a good idea. I wanted to try it out." And I got up, and I went down, and
that was the game that got me really into it, and like you had Jak and Daxter, you had Sly Cooper, you had all those games.
Crash Bandicoot.
You had Gears of War, the first one that came out.
Those were all phenomenal. Man. I remember when we went out to the Modern Warfare 3 when we went to the
stood in line and waited for the game to come out, and there were like 100 people in front of us.
I have the midnight release.
Yeah,
I have that picture somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah,
I have that stowed away somewhere.
But that was my favorite memory.
Yeah.
All right, enough of the freaking mumbo jumbo. Let's move on to hops and finish this off.
Yeah.
We got about 10 minutes. So
okay,
so go ahead.
I've been into.
You better be funny again.
No, I've been into these goofy ass stories and stuff like that. So if you remember Christmas Vacation, with freaking
Clark Griswold,
the Griswold,
Shitter's Full.
Yeah, Shitter's Full. Well, freaking the Tennessee Department of Transportation put a National Lampoons for distracted drivers, and their freaking thing says, Cousin Eddie says, Twitter's full, put down the phone, and they freaking digitally broadcast that over their freaking signs, the things where so I thought that was very cool that they would do that. And there was
Shitter's Full.
Yeah, well, Twitter's full because that's social media and people on the road. It says Cousin Eddie says Twitter's full. Put the phone down. I just thought that was a great little. Here it is.
What are you looking at?
Oh, the silent majesty of a winter's morn, clean, cool chill of the holiday air, and an asshole in his bathrobe emptying a chemical toilet into my sewer.
Your shitter was full. Okay. What's your other one then?
So my other one has been, your mother always gets on me because I listen to books on tape anymore. I don't read anything anymore, pretty much.
I still spend
I still spend a lot of time reading. I spend a lot of time reading at school, but for the most part, I listen to books in my truck. Like I very seldom, with the exception of the NFL and college football, I don't listen to anything. Very little music. I listen to books all the time, from Michael Connelly, the Harry Bosch series, Lee Child. I've consumed all 23 episodes of freaking Jack Reacher, Vince Flynn, and the Mitch Rapp series. I freaking love Tom Clancy. and his whole series. I freaking love all of those things. But I took a step sideways the other day, and I don't know why I did it, but I decided to jump on it. It's Neil deGrasse Tyson. You know who Neil deGrasse
Yep.
Tyson, freaking known astrophysicist?
Yeah.
Well, he has a book called Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. And what he does is he basically talks about what astrophysics is. And he talks about it in such a way that you actually understand it. Now, this book's about 4 hours long, which is a fraction of the time that I listen to other books. But I'm amazed. I am totally amazed. I can't stop listening to it. I've already heard half of it. I stopped the book and went back to the beginning again, just so I could listen to the first hour of the book again. Absolutely phenomenal guy. He has a number of books out there. I can't stop it. I listen to it all the time. I think I'm gonna start saving my credits, and I'm gonna get his books on tape so I can hear him. This is a dude who has more brain power than freaking 10 people, and I don't get how he freaking explains the way he does, but it's just so I don't know how do you explain it. It's just so down to earth, if that makes any sense for astrophysics. Very, very good. Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. Highly recommend it. It's not a big book or anything like that. It's not like a true novel like you would hear. It's certainly not a Tom Clancy length of 600-800 pages or whatever like that. And it's not your typical book that I normally listen to that are 11 or 12 hours. But this one's about 3.5 hours or so. Awesome book. I can't stop listening to it. I haven't even heard the whole thing. I've had it for 3 days now, and I could have listened to the whole way through, but I didn't. I just keep going back and rewinding and going back to other parts of it. So that was my other hops of the week was Neil deGrasse Tyson's freaking Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. Awesome book. I didn't mean to bore you. Are you awake?
What? Oh, sorry. I wasn't paying attention. That was boring.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I couldn't find a freaking alligator eating some fucking meth head.
I know. I want to see that type of shit again.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. I got two real quick. We got like 5 minutes. Doc Emmerich. If you've ever heard of Doc Emmerich before,
Shot score!
he's on NBC Sports. He's the lead anchor for the NHL when it comes to the playoffs. He is always on the
Broadcaster.
Stanley
He's not
Cup.
an anchor. He's a lead broadcaster.
Yeah, lead broadcaster, and he is always with the Stanley Cup. NBC, who always carries the Stanley Cup playoffs. He was inducted into the Broadcast Hall of Fame just this past week. He was inducted, and I couldn't agree more. Doc Emmerich, I am not the
Why
biggest
did it
fan.
take this long to?
I don't know. Yeah, I have watched so many documentaries on him about how he comes up. He literally has this giant sheet with words that he will try and say throughout the program, and he will not say them more than once. And it's crazy. He has like 100 words on each of on each sheet that he tries to incorporate into the game, and he has stats on every single player, just like every single broadcaster should. But it's incredible, and I couldn't agree more that he's in the Broadcasting Hall of Fame, no question. Because if you ever watch the NHL, just look up Doc Emmerich and you'll understand why.
NFL or NHL playoffs.
Yeah, the Stanley Cup playoffs, he is
the man.
At the beginning, you'll have more broadcasters, but once it gets into the conference finals and also the semifinals and then the Stanley Cup, you have Doc Emmerich, who is the only one on. So then finally, Coach Herman Boone passed away this past week.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure I hope that every single one of you out there who listens to this has seen Remember the Titans, and I hope that everyone does watch Remember the Titans, because the head coach in the film is named Coach Herman Boone. Coach Bill Yost did pass away. He did pass away, and Coach Herman Boone just passed away this past week. Played by Denzel Washington in the movie, but Coach Herman Boone has passed away, and I think it's a sad day when you hear that, because even though Denzel was shown as the guy who did it in the movie, Herman Boone changed high school football, and he changed football for the better when it came to segregation and when it came to motivating his players through not looking at the color of their skin, but by winning, but by coming together as a team and winning a championship. And also the relationship that he had with his players.
Yeah.
And players like All-American Gary Bertier, and those players will always be remembered, and so will Herman Boone. I think the whole Twitter world knows, and the whole United States knows about Herman Boone when they think of Remember the Titans. I'm a winner. I'm going to win. I've won me a couple of titles down in North Carolina. Well, that's AA ball. This here Virginia. We play triple A
ball.
So yeah,
That's
those are my
awesome.
two hops though.
Yeah.
You got
Herman
any-
Boone.
You got anything else to
No,
add, Coach?
no, brother. I don't.
All right. Well, it's 9:15, so we're gonna go ahead and get out here and watch this Packers Vikings game. So Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Merry Christmas Eve. There you go.
Yeah.
We hope you have a very safe week. Enjoy Christmas. Have a safe trip to wherever you're heading,
Yes, please drive safely.
because the
Don't
college
do
football
anything
playoff
stupid.
is coming up, and we want you to hear our analysis, because next time you'll hear us, it'll be one day before the new year. So we hope you'll be safe. As always, guys, we hope you enjoyed. As always, peace out. Love you guys.